Hey everybody, I'm David Tall here with Make Money University. And today I want to talk to you guys about real estate and why there is nothing else on the planet that beats real estate in terms of building wealth, building a long-term legacy, and a financial outcome for yourself and your family that can sustain you passively for the rest of your life. There's just nothing better. Growing up, I saw family members and friends trying to make money during, with all different kinds of means. One, with their regular day jobs. Two, buying and selling stocks. And three, real estate. My uncles did a really good job of building a solid real estate portfolio, and I learned a lot from them over the years, and I want to share some of that with you guys here. And in all these different videos, I'm going to be sharing different aspects, kind of niche aspects of real estate, like selling and not paying taxes, building units in the backyards, adding value, remodeling, fix and flips, different financing opportunities and vehicles, etc. But this video is meant to give you the high level on the 3 reasons why nothing beats real estate for building wealth. So number 1, real estate brings you rental income. When you buy a property and you buy it for, say, $400K, and you put X amount down, and then you calculate your PITI, which is your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. That's PITI. And by the way, you can do this on any mortgage calculator, like Zillow has one, and many other sites. Just Google for mortgage calculator, type in the purchase price, whatever down payment you're going to be able to make, and it'll auto-calculate all the other costs and expenses. So when you do the math and you figure out, okay, this property will rent for $3,000 a month, and my expenses are going to be about $2,000 a month, so I'm going to make about $1,000 a month. Phenomenal. Okay, so that's just one of the ways, and I'm oversimplifying this, I know, and we can go into it in one of my follow-up videos on calculating ROI to the penny. But just to give you a rough idea, let's just say you're making $1,000 a month on property number 1. Fantastic. Good for you. By the way, that $1,000 is there almost every single month. Vacancies are very small in residential real estate. Why? Because although you may change jobs all the time, you always need a place to live. And everybody wants and needs a place to live. And so residential real estate is a pretty darn safe bet for the long term. Now that $1,000, guess what? It actually grows as well over time. Why? Because inflation and rent increases, right? So in most leases, you have automatic rent bumps, 3%, et cetera, maybe higher as well. In certain markets, you can go up to 10% legally per year in different markets. And there are certain caps of how fast you can go up, but usually those exceed reality. So I wouldn't be too worried about the caps. So that 1,000 becomes 1,030 the second year. Then it becomes 1,060. Then it becomes about 1,100, right? And so you could see how that just starts growing on its own without you really doing anything. That's just the world, time passing, and rents increasing. So you have one property. Now you can make a goal of having 5, 10, 20, 100 properties and building wealth significantly over the years. I have built a portfolio of dozens of properties at this point, and I'm now adding units, dozens of units in the backyards of these properties. And so I'm really excited to share some of that with you guys because my long-term plan, my wife and I, we've always worked, we have jobs, but what we do with the income we make is we buy real estate. With almost every extra dollar we have, we put it into more real estate, buy more properties, build a larger passive income stream. And then with that income stream, we're starting to do more with it, buy more properties, build more properties, etc. So there's a lot here, and I really want more and more people to learn about this, including my kids and other people that I hope to pass this knowledge on to. So number 1 is you make rental income with real estate, something you don't really have with stocks or other vehicles. Number 2 is there are significant tax advantages. Significant. For example, depreciation. You can depreciate the value of the property over 30 plus years. And so every year you are deducting from your taxes a percentage of the property's value. You can deduct all sorts of different expenses to the property itself, like property taxes and other things as well that you can fully deduct. And there are so many other things you could do that we'll get into in more advanced videos as well, like cost segregation reports, like 1031 exchanges where you sell one property that's gone up in value and then you buy another property and you pay zero taxes in that transfer. And so these are vehicles that just don't exist. You can't sell your stock, not pay taxes, and then buy more stock with that. But you can do it with real estate. So that is a phenomenal advantage you have to build wealth faster before the government starts taking chunks away at each step of the road. So number 2 is tax advantages. And number 3 is appreciation, right? So like a stock, you're really just hoping that it goes up in value, that it appreciates in value, that you buy it for $100 and then it goes up to $200, right? And it's actually, pretty hard for stocks to double. There are big winners and you hear about them all the time, and we could have all invested in Apple back in the day, etc. But those are rare. And even the smartest financial advisors and planners, because they spread out the risk across dozens of stocks, average out, 7 to 10%, maybe the best ones around 12%. They might have some bigger years. But that's about the increase you're going to get in stocks, and then have to pay taxes on them. And so you're hoping for that appreciation, right, per year. With real estate, there are 2 ways you make a lot of money with appreciation. One is, and we're going to go into this in another video as well with more concrete examples, but one is, okay, name a property that you could find online on Zillow, on Redfin, that has not gone up in value in the last 10 years. Now take a look at any property, and even in the down market, okay, when markets have crashed, if you look back 10, 20 years, they're still significantly higher than they were. And that's because real estate is a limited resource. There's only so many parcels of land that you could build on. And so real estate is designed by nature in its instruments to go up in value over time automatically. And that's what has happened for as long as real estate has ever been owned. And I would not expect it to stop. I'd actually expect it to accelerate because there are fewer and fewer lots available, and density is getting filled out. And so there are even fewer and fewer properties today than there were 10 or 20 years ago that you can buy or build. There's more properties you can buy, but there's fewer you can add to the supply. So the supply is getting more and more limited, which will drive up prices over time. That's pretty guaranteed. And it just takes time, patience, and discipline to stay with it, and not be too worried about the day-to-day. And the beauty about real estate is that even if if values drop, you're still making rental income. It doesn't matter. You don't lose the money unless you sold it at the bottom, which you can easily do when you panic during a stock crisis, which I have done too many times. I'm at stocks, I'm great at buying high, selling low. Fantastic. If you want advice on doing that, comment below and I will share my tips and tricks on how to lose all your money. But with real estate, you can't sell it so quickly. And so when prices drop, you might be like, oh my God, the market, blah, 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 but you're still making rents and cash flowing. And who cares? Because 5-10 years, it's going to bounce back up and be even higher. The next wave up will be even higher than the last up before the down. And so that's just what you see cyclically. And so you can make a lot of money because real estate appreciates. And I appreciate you for listening. So you buy a property for $400K. 5-10 years later, it's worth $500-600K. So you made $100 or $200K, right? Fantastic. So let's just make an example here and say you bought the property for $400K and it goes up to $600K. You made 50%, right? Yes, if you bought the property all cash. If you bought the property for all cash for $400K and it goes up to $600K, then you have made a 50% increase on your money, which is great. Plus 50% plus all the tax benefits that you've received, plus all the rental income over all of those years that you've received. So when you add all that up, it's significant. But here's where it gets crazy exciting. Leverage, okay? Leverage. The most important word in real estate is leverage. And that is because, let's do the same example again. You bought the property for $400K, but you only put $40,000 down. Let's just say you put 10% down. You put $40,000 down. The property went up $200K. So what is your actual return on your money that you've put in? Well, you turned 40,000 into the 40 plus another 200. You turned it into 240. You have 6x your money, 500%ed your money. Those are the kinds of stock returns people dream of and write about, and people think they're geniuses, and movies are made about people who make 500% on their stock. Okay, and you could do that with just about any real estate property. And there are properties that I bought during the last financial crash that I bought for about 100K in places like Imperial Beach in San Diego, and I put 20K down. That's 20% on a $100,000 property, and that property is now worth 350. Okay, and so I didn't just make 250. I actually made, I made 250, but I only put 200 in. So I've made 12 and a half times my money. And if you do that across a lot of properties over a lot of time, that is how you're going to get rich and how you're going to build incredible passive income for yourself and for your family. My wife and I, every dollar we get from our jobs, and we both work and have different things and ways we want to make money, we take that and we buy real estate with it. We don't say we're in real estate. We do other things. My wife does content. She's an influencer. She influences me a lot. I do other things. I do consulting. I've had real estate tech businesses. I've sold a couple of them. But what I do with the money I make is I buy real estate. I don't buy a bunch of fancy cars or watches. I buy real estate. And then I can buy nice things with what the income from that real estate is making me. So I hope this is a good initial lesson for you guys. I want to set the tone. I want to set the course for what we can talk about in the future here. Please comment below if you have any things you want me to dive in on, create courses around. My goal here is to share my knowledge. I feel blessed that I grew up with people around the table, around my family, who knew this, who understood it, who imparted it on me, and who have given me a better understanding and have allowed me to build, great wealth this way. And it's not about wealth, it's about freedom. For my wife and I, passive income is about having freedom to do whatever we want, freedom to go wherever we want, freedom to buy whatever we want, to not have to look at prices on menus, to not have to look at, what's the cheaper can of beans at the store. Doesn't mean we don't, doesn't mean we're not frugal, we're needed, but it's given us the freedom to live life on our terms and design it however we like, work from wherever we want. And that's our long-term goal, is to be able to retire and have a bunch of passive income supporting us and the generations that follow us. So with that, I hope you'll follow me on this journey, Make Money University, and get educated. And hopefully we'll see you owning a bunch of real estate yourself. And hopefully we get a chance to meet in person at some point as well. Feel free to ask me any questions. Cheers to you all, and best of luck.